Right. Okay. Welcome everyone. Let me share my screen. And then we can. All right. Okay. Let me share the whole screen. Okay. So, welcome back everyone. Today, Saturday, to our session on Python Programming Fellowship. Last week we stopped at this chapter, introducing lists, where we discussed some stuff, which was laid by Falalu. Today, again, we'll continue with the next chapter, working with lists, where we'll discuss looping through a list, modifying element, and also today, Falalu will lead today's session. Last week, again, we already introduced to you one of our repository called 30 Days Programming, but as I told you, the name is still 30 Days. What we were doing previously in the last cohort, we don't actually do this online session where we teach you Python. What we do previously is we just give this repository and people go and practice themselves every day until they do 30 days. Do the assignment, and we selected the fellows that were able to do the assignment. But we understand from the feedback we got, some students were actually not from computing, and they find it difficult to go through this Python basic background themselves. So this session or this cohort, then we had a new approach where we have this, Python as a prerequisite, where we go through bit by bit, teaching you some topic, and then you yourself, you go and do the practice exercises from the Python 30 days. Before it was even, we have like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, up to 30 days, but now we just change the structure so that now it has some format where if we cover list here, then the repository will contain exercises, for example, for list here. If we cover string, it will contain string. So we now have structure. It is no longer talking about 30 days. As you can see here, it's not day 1, day 2, up to 30 days. Before, the repository was day 1, day 2, day 3, but now we just modify it in terms of module based on the topic covered. So you can see here, for example, we have operators, module, list, conditionals, loops. So yeah. So the idea is now we covered, for example, list, and we have the exercises from list. Now it's referenced here. So here you can go and see here. And as well, when we cover this, and then here we have another exercises inside the list, which is list tuple, I think, from here. If you go to this chapter, we also, you can see here, there are many other things that you can brush. You can read this, what is list, even though we have covered it, but this will give you, this is more robust with more explanation. You can go through it, practice this. It will increase your understanding. And if you go through them, you can see a lot of other stuff that you may cover in the class, but you can practice them as well. So if you go here, you can see we have, after list, we have exercise level 1, which is talking about the list, right? You can see them. Now, after you finish this, we have exercise level 2. And then from there, we have something called tuples, which is also different from list. So after you finish tuple, you'll be able to see the exercises for tuple as well. So this is the tuple exercise. You can see them. After tuple, we have another thing called sets, which is also, after you finish set, you'll be able to see the exercises for set. Yeah, so you can see the exercises for set, right? So the main idea is, after this introduction of this class, is to introduce you to the topics, some lists, some how to do the stuff, but to have the real hands-on practice exercises, we put all the relevant exercises. You go through yourself and do the exercises. And what you can do is, when you are submitting an assignment, is here is an example of repository. If you click this repository for assignment, you can see here module introduction, you put exercises, module variable function, you put the exercises, module operators, you put the exercise. If you come here, you can see that's how the repository is named. Let me go over it. You can see module introduction. So when you come here, you can see module introduction. When you come here, module variable built-in function, you can see this. When you come from E3, you can see it's called module operators. You do the exercise under module operators. So this is example, you populate it, and you can write anything you like in your README. You can say, this is my exercises from REO Data Science Python Program Fellowship, and I'm doing them to practice my skills, and so on and so forth. As I said as well, some of you might, this is what happened in our previous fellowship. Some students were not doing the assignments on time. It was like when we were able to do a review and take the best student, they were pushing their everything to the repository. But mind you, we will know when you push your repository, because you can see which day you push, which day you do your assignment. So we track this. So we do hope now, before, after each session, everything is covered. So for example, after today's session, before next week, we expect people to cover, from, all this one. We expect by now you already finish all these ones. And also today, before next week, we expect you to finish all this exercise. So this is what's expected. After its lessons, the exercise, we put them at the corresponding column here, so that you'll be able to do that. There is nothing somewhere. This is the only exercises we have. The only exercises we have for this Python programming fellowship, you see them here. There is no, previously we have something here called exercises, but we removed them because we have reorganized the plan that we'll be doing the stuff from the fellowship Python 30 days programming. Before we were making some exercises based on each chapter here from the book. If you remember, in the book you have some exercises. You can practice those exercises yourself. So previously we took those exercises from the book, and now we started putting them like as chapter 1 exercise, chapter 2. But now we understand that the 30 days Python is more rigorous and will make you more, more better in practicing those exercises from here. So that's the idea. So today we'll dive in the next session, working with list model. Hello?
Hello, sir. I have 2 questions, please, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So the first question regarding the assignment, because yesterday I raised a concern in the Telegram group regarding the assignment. I entered into the assignment, the H module, and then realized that there are instruction that we need to follow. It was said that we need to save the file with .py. But now here, during your explanation, I saw that we either save it as a Jupyter Notebook file or as a Python file. So I feel somehow confused. So please, can you make further clarification regarding that?
This is simple. You can do anything, because this is the instruction. If you see the instruction, just follow it. We also give an example that this one. You can create either Jupyter Notebook or Python script. Anyone you create is fine. There is no confusion here.
Okay,
you can
okay, sir.
In either Jupyter Notebook or in Python script. Anyone you do is fine.
Okay, sir. So then the other question is regarding the assignments. You made mention that last week we need to do the assignment that was treated on that list. So I don't know what about the previous weeks. That is for module 1.
Listen. Yes, you are expected to finish them. Everything if we cover this chapter, variable and whatsoever, this is the exercises you are expected. Mind you, I said for each chapter here, you'll see the corresponding exercises. If we cover this chapter, then you must do these exercises. If we cover this chapter, we put exercise. No need to even tell you what to do. Just come to each chapter and see what kind of exercise are there and do them.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Understood, sir.
Yeah. So this is very simple. If this is it, we say this, look at this. This is called exercises. So you are expected to see, if you have exercises here, you are expected to complete them. That is just it. Lukman Kabiru.
So my question is that, are we going to do just look at your own repository and create our own repository on our GitHub and do the assignment inside?
Are you going to look at my repository or what?
Are we to look at your repository to see the instructions, then go to our repository, follow the create our own repository, then follow the instructions?
Yes. You create your own. You create your own repository and follow the instruction in the assignment and do the assignment in your repository and push them.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Yes. Any other question? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, what actually I'm observing from my end is that your repository in the GitHub is it's not reflecting on my VS Code.
What is not reflecting in your VS Code?
So like in my VS Code, I can see both the assignment and those chapters in the Python, but in your repository in my GitHub, I can't see such thing.
So maybe you don't sync your repository. You have not full your repository, so you need to pull. So yeah, that's maybe you have you may not have the same, because this repository is constantly updated.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, this repository is constantly updated. Even today we updated. So if you have your repository yesterday or whatsoever, you may not have up to date. So we already show you how to update your repository. So if you want to have something exactly similar to this GitHub repository, then you need to follow the procedure how to update your own repository by pulling whatsoever here to integrate in your local repository.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, any other question? All right, so I think we are getting, time is going. What we could do is Falalu will now take over to start today's session. Falalu, are you here? Falalu, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm with you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let me stop sharing and yeah, you can start, Falalu.
Okay. So, right. I'm sure you can all see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So welcome to today's session where we'll be diving into some essential Python programming skills that are fundamental for efficient and clean coding. So by the end of this lecture, you will understand how to loop through an entire list of tuple, and you will also understand indentation errors from numerical list and simple statistic. We are going to make simple statistic with the list, whereby we'll apply some functions like min, minimum, maximum, sum, etc. Then we'll dive into list comprehension and some ways of creating items in a list. Then we will also grab some part of a list or subset of a list. Then we will learn how to copy a list and maybe how to style our coding into an elegant style. So without wasting our time, we are going to learn how to loop through a list. In our previous examples, the list we saw was kind of a list with few elements in it or few items in it. Just like this one, consider this example whereby we have a list containing magicians. This list has only 3 items in it. So for this one, it's very easy to display the content or to print the content or the items in the list. To print the items, what we usually do is to write the name of the list followed by the index of the item. So for this one, when you want to print, we impute the individual index of each item in the list. For example, to print the items in this list, what we will do is to write this name magicians, then we write the index for item 1, we write 0 for item 2, we write 1 for item 3, we write 2. So this is very easy if the list is very small. What if we have a list with large number of elements? Maybe we can have a list that has thousands or even millions of items in it. How are we going to print the items? I think it will be very hard to keep imputing the index from 1 maybe to 1,000 or to 999. It's very tedious, cumbersome, time consuming. So in that case, Python has a way of looping through an entire list. So how do we do that? To do that, we make use of looping. As we talk about each class in our previous lesson, we said that in programming we have 3 different ways of dealing with code. We have sequence, we have selection, and we have looping. So we are going to make use of looping to iterate through all the items in our list. So how do we do that? So now let's see visually how it works. So there are many ways of looping through a list, but here we are going to consider for loop. So for loop can be used to iterate through a list. So how does it look? So we have this keyword for. What it does, it tells Python to start a looping. So we are telling Python that we want to start looping. Now here we have a variable, just like normal variable. We have the variable we use, we declared before. We all know how to declare a variable. Then we have another keyword, in. So this tells Python to go into this variable here. This variable is the list, the main list we have. As you can see here, we declare a list magician. So here, this variable represents the name of the list here. So we are using now. So here we have the list. It may not be a list, it can be any iterable. So, but here we are considering a list here. So what this does is all the items in the list are already in the magician. So these items will be taken one by one into this variable called magician. So under it, we have this indentation, then we have this function print. So what this does is, from this pool, Python will be taking item one by one and putting it into this magician. So for every time this loop runs, it takes one of the items and put it here and print it. So this is how it works. And this indentation is a must. You have to put it, and this colon is also a must in the syntax. So let's see our first example. The same thing here is our list. Then here is the name of the list. So the list can be declared as long as the list, we already have the list declared, then we can use it here. So we have the list here, then we have this keyword in, then we have magician. So this magician can be any variable. If you like, you can put A, B, C, D, just any variable, just you can put it. But it is meaningful to use this one you use plural, this one you use singular. Make more sense to do that. So here we are printing these items one by one. We have this pool, we take one item at a time, we print it, we go to the next item, we put it here, we print it, we go to the next item until we reach the end of the list. So now let's run and see. Now we see, we started with the first item, we put it inside this variable, we print it, then we go to the next. So that is repetition or looping. Any question before we continue? Okay. So in the same thing here, we have the magician here. Then we have 4 magician in magicians. Yes.
So,
Jahid.
So my question is,
yes,
you said we need to like enter the variable here where we are after the 4. So do you mean that we will be writing for allies in magicians or what?
Yes, it's the same thing.
Yes.
Just any variable can be written here.
Okay, so if we write for
any variable here, if you write A here, so you may not necessarily print, you can do anything with it. You can perform any operation here. So when we write A here, it will be the same. The output will be the same. You see, there is no any change in the variable. You can perform anything here. You can even apply a function like that title function. You can apply it here and it will still work. You can do many things here. Have I answered your question, then Abdullah?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my question is a little bit different. My question is, can you please explain to the looping aspect? I missed some aspect a little bit. Sorry. Yeah, and the image.
So what's the question?
So the question is how, just like looping through, you were explaining this image that is on screen, that this is how it works. So I just actually missed the whole point. I didn't get it. That's why I say if you can briefly explain it. Thank you, sir.
So the point is to start looping using for loop, because we can use other ways of to make looping. So using for loop, what we usually do is we have the for that tells Python that you are starting a looping. Then you have a variable here. It can be many variables, but for simplicity, we are starting with only one variable. So this variable will be used to temporarily hold items inside this iterable. You understand why I say iterable is just like list, string, whatever here. So this one is just like temporary variable where the Python will be used to check items one at a time. That's why we use these 3 arrows. It means that we are taking the Alice first, then we take David second, then we go to Carolina third. If we have other elements, it will keep checking one item at a time until we finish with this loop. Cleared?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. So here is the same thing. We have the magicians, then the print will print the first one, Alice, then it will go to the second one, it will go to the third one, fourth one, until we reach the end of the list. The diagram shows how items are printed using this loop. So to understand this better, the above code can be read as for every magician in the list of magicians, print magician's name. You see, you can read it like this. For every magician in magician's list, then print magician, print this. For every magician in magician's list, print magician. That's it. Very, very simple. Yes. So there are things to keep in mind when writing your own loops. First one is you can choose any name you want for the temporary variable, just like this first variable, this one, magician. You can impute any temporary name. You can choose any name for it. But however, it is useful to choose a meaningful name that represents a single item from the list. That's why here we have magicians, but here we have magician. If you have pet, you can have pet. You have pencils, you can have pencil. You can have schools, you can have school. Lessons, lesson. So etc. So here we use plural, here we use singular. It's better this way so that it will make more sense when you then those kind of names. And the third one is, for example, here is a good way to start looking for a list of cats or list of dogs or general list of items. Like here you can say for cat in cat. So here we have plural, here we have singular. It's better this way. We have list of dogs, then we can take one dog at a time. Then we can have list of items, then we can have item at a time. Are we making sense?
Yes, sir.
So you can do more work because here we are just printing an item. Here we are just printing a single item. We have our loop and print an item here without doing anything. We are just printing. So you can do more work here. By doing more work, you can apply function on this magician, just like title. So if you have other things, you can still do it. You can still put it inside here. That's why here we have magician.title. What this does, we already know. It just capitalize the first letter of each item in the list. That's why we have for Alice, we have this A capitalized for David. We have D capitalized for Carolina. We have E capitalized, and we still print some strings here. So we are doing more work in the loop other than just printing this variable magician. So there are other things to note as well. Number one, every indented line following the line for magician is considered inside the loop. So here is indented, as you can see. So this one is inside the loop. When we have another line under it, is considered inside the loop. So let's see, for example, here, this line is under the loop. So if the loop is going to run 100 times, so these lines are going to run 100 times. If this one is going to run 3 times, all these lines will be run three times because of this indentation. So when you want to run code maybe n times, or for every run of this will run n times. So let's see this example. So look at this. We have this as usual. We have our list already. Then we have this. We are defining loop. Then we have 2 different statements under the for loop, which means every time this loop runs, this line will run, this line will run as well. If this one runs 100 times, this one will run 100 times. The second line will also, the first line will also run 100 times. So let's see how it works. So you see, all these lines are under this loop because of this indentation. What if we move this? We will get an error because nothing is under the loop. So let's do something under the loop. When we finish with our loop, then we run something. So let's see this one. So this one is similar to the top one. but this line is not under the loop, which means we can have like 6 lines for this one, because for Alice, it will run this, it will capitalize this one, then it will print this line as well. Then for David, it will print this line and print this line as well. For Carolina, it will print this line and this line as well. After that, then it will print this line. So let's see how it works. So you see, we have these lines printed for Alice, we have this line printed for David, we have these lines printed for Carolina. Then after the loop, then we have another statement. We have this statement because this statement is printed individually because it is isolated from the loop by unindenting the line. So if we indent the line, it means that this line is still under the loop. So when we run it, so we have 3 lines for each. You see? So now let's undo this. So any question? No question. So it is time for quiz. As usual, for every class we have some kind of quiz so that we can remember what we have covered in the past. So assuming that we are going to do it together with the class, assuming that we already assuming that we want to print our list in reverse order. Here we have this Alice, we have David, we have Carolina. So how do we print this line in reverse order? There are many ways to do this, but from the previous class, we learned some functions like sort and sorted. So how do we print this one? So let's see. Can anyone dictate so that I can write? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
We already have the list.
We
So we don't
write
need to
magicians
declare the
dot
list.
reverse.
Okay, we write
Yes, sir.
magicians
Magician dot
like
sort.
this. Magicians dot
Magicians
sort.
dot reverse. Dot reverse, sir.
So why?
We can use two, sir, both the two methods.
Okay, dot reverse like this.
Yes.
Or we need bracket.
No,
We
without
also parentheses.
Okay, we need parentheses like this. So let's run and
Yes,
Magicians.
see.
and then
What? Let's
look,
run and
we
see.
need
Not
Magicians.
dot
Okay,
reverse.
magician. Okay,
Dot
with
reverse.
S.
Yes.
Okay. So this is
yes.
what we
We
have.
also need to call the function.
Reverse. They are not using
No, I am calling this function. This is what we have.
No, it should be sort magicians dot sort reverse equals to
Please
No, it's not.
That's
It's
why
not reverse.
correct
Oh,
the
let's
reverse.
dot
have
sorted.
it from one person. Let's have it from one person.
All right, sir.
Okay, sir.
I'll do it.
Don't forget, we are going to use looking. We are not just reversing. We are just going to print the list or the items in reverse order. So I expect you to use looping. So
Okay, sir.
let's start with the 4.
For magicians and magicians.
Okay. Yes, for magician in magicians like this.
Yes, sir.
Followed by colon.
Colon. Magician. Okay.
Followed
by colon.
By colon.
Then enter.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
So we write print like this.
Print.
This one is the same as what we've done.
Dot sorted, sir. Dot sort. I mean dot
Where
sort.
are we going to write dot sorted?
Magician dot sort.
Here, dot sort?
Yes, sir.
I don't think so. So let's understand this, which means that we didn't fully understood what sorted means or sort means. Here is the full we have. for the items. Here, these magicians contain all the items, but these items are in particular order. So now, can we change the order using a function like sorted or sort?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So let's apply the function here so that we can reverse the items in this. You understand?
Yes, sir. Then sort
Like
sorted
this.
in bracket, then reverse is true.
So we say reverse true, yes?
Yes, sir.
Reverse
is equal to true.
Equals to true. Which means
Yes,
that
sir.
if the first item is Alice, now Alice will be the last item, yes?
Yes,
So
followed
now
by
let's
Carolina.
see. So there is an error here. What's the error again?
No, you sorted in the line of for loop.
You say?
You use the sorted function in the
So
for
let's
loop
see.
line.
We need to use the sort method,
Okay,
not the
let's
sorted.
see.
You did not put semicolon in the magician, in front of magician.
Let's redeclare our variable and see.
Yes, sir.
So that we have it here.
Now,
so let's run and see. Look what happened here.
So the issue is where you wrote sorted.
Hold on.
Where I wrote what?
Remove the column.
Sorted function.
I should remove the column.
You should
It should be sort.
Yes, sir.
Sort, not sorted, bro.
Okay, should be sort.
Sort, not sorted.
Like this?
Then, yes, then come
reverse
down.
goes through.
No.
So this should be in ascending order.
Yes, reverse equals true.
Yeah, reverse is true. Before you
let's run this. Let's run this and see what happens first. So look, we have another error.
Yes.
Why?
Because that sorted function, it should be inside the loop, not in the loop, not in the line of loop.
Which one should be okay?
Let's delete that sort function from the line.
Let me do something.
Yes, delete it.
Let's do this.
Okay.
A column first.
Let's do this first.
Yes.
Let's say we have our magicians. Let's print our magicians. See. Sorry. Now we have our magician.
Yes, sir.
So let's go down a bit. Yes.
Let's say four. Let's say four.
Magician.
Yes. Magician.
In
magicians.
In magician.
Column.
Magicians.
Not sort.
Column.
Yes. Then come down.
Like
enter.
This. Yes. Then I come down.
Print.
Then print.
We print.
Magician. Dot sort.
Dot
then
sort.
Inside the sort is true.
Magician like this.
Yes, sir.
Dot sort.
Dot sort.
Then inside the sort
Are you
function,
sure?
right? Reverse is true. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let's try because I said it before. You said no.
Okay.
Let's try it.
Try. It's true.
Okay, let's try it. Reverse.
Reverse is true. Equals true.
Yes.
Reverse.
This will print everything in reverse order.
Equals to true. Okay, let's see, but I don't think so.
Another alternative.
Reverse or reversed?
Hello?
Sort.
You say sort.
It's sort. String. String.
It's reverse, not reversed. Without D.
Is it reversed or reverse?
Reverse. Not remove that D, sir.
What I'm thinking. This one reverse.
Yes.
I should remove D.
D,
So
yes.
let's just like this.
Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's see. So which means
I have another suggestion.
This is not the way to go. First of all, what we need to do is to reverse the items. As I told you, we can have many ways of reversing items. So first of all, we need to know the kind of variables we are dealing with. First of all, let's write type. Then we have the magicians.
The list.
And see what do we have? Is it a list? So
yes,
we can have many ways of reversing a list, even from the previous class.
Can I suggest an option?
Yes, you can have.
Okay. Magicians dot sort.
Let me do
before going to the
something.
loop.
Let me do something.
Parentheses.
Let's have this and see what the output here. What do you see here? Is it reversed or not reversed?
Neither. It's neither. It's reversed.
It's neither.
It's reversed.
It's reversed.
It's reversed. It's reversed.
Yes.
It's reversed.
So can we do this? Let's see. Can we do this? No. We have many ways, as I said. Let's see this first. So for magician in magicians, and I have this. Let me do this and print this. Let's print this. Let's see what we have here. Have we had it? Is it reversed?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
so it's in the previous lesson, okay?
David's supposed to come before Carolina.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say, sir.
Okay.
The reverse, the sorting. But that was sorting.
No, we are not sorting them in ascent.
We're not sorting this one. It's reversing.
No.
It's reversing this one, not sorting.
So we are reversing. Okay. We are reversing it. So what I want to say here is sorted in alphabetical order. So let's keep going because of the time. So you can try that one. It's just a quiz. So let's go to avoiding indentation errors. How do we avoid indentation errors? So error can come in different forms. We can have an error due to syntax, and we can have an error due to meaning. So we can write code, we meant something and we get different thing. For example, here is a syntax error. Why? Because we know that for every for loop, anything under it will be indented, like this one. So when you run this code, there should be an error because from the syntax, when we have for or if, we should indent the following line. So let's run this and see. So this is what we have. You see the error? Python will tell you the kind of error you have, indentation error, which means Python is expecting you to indent a block after the for loop. That's why there is an arrow here telling you where the error resides. So the error resides here. So we need to indent this print a bit like this. Then we run, you will see the output.
So, sir, that means we need to shift it forward.
Yes, that's indentation. This line means indent. So for every for loop, you have to indent. So indentation is a must in Python. Unlike other programming languages like C, C++, Java, you can write the whole code in one line and it will work. If you have 1 billion lines, you can write it in one line, it will work. But in Python, there is this indentation is very strict. You have to do it the way it should be. So forgetting to indent additional line as well, so we can forget to indent additional line. This line should have been under this loop. So this one should be here, but if you forget to put it under, then you will have different output than expected. Because here we have Alice, that was a great trick. We have David, that was a great trick. And here we have Carolina, that was a great trick. I can't wait to see your next trick, Carolina. So it should be this for every item in the list. For Alice, there should be, I can't wait to see your next trick, Alice. For David, should be the same. For Carolina, the same. So forgetting to indent additional line is another error that happens to especially beginners in programming in Python.
So, sir, that means even if we come to print, so we need to make another indentation again to move it backward.
Yes, depending on the meaning. If you meant this line to be printed together with this one at the same time, then you have to indent the second line as well. If you have another line, you have to indent as well. If you have another one, you have to indent. So it depends on the meaning. If your intention is to print this line and this one at the same time, then you should indent them. You should indent both the lines. And there is a logical error. This kind of error, you will not get an error. The person will not tell you that there is an error, just like that one with indentation. It will not tell you that there is an error in your code, but you will see unexpected output. Like this one, when we run this one, we have what we get the expected output. But let's see this one. This one. Here, we shouldn't indent. We shouldn't indent anything here because this one is not for loop, it's not if, it's not while. So why would you indent? So this one you will get an error for this one because we are indenting unnecessarily. But for this one, we are getting the right output. And this one, we are not getting the right output because we need to indent the post line, but we didn't. So we didn't get any the expected output. So this one is it's not needed. You don't need to indent. If you indent, you will get an error like this one. So indentation error, unexpected indentation, because Python does not expect you to indent this line. So let's move again. So indenting unnecessarily after loops, sometimes you can have a loop and unnecessary indent like this one, because this one you don't need to indent the last line. You just need the first one and the second one, just like the example we've seen. So we don't need this indentation, but Python will not complain about this because it's not a syntax error. So let's see. So you see, we have this, we have this, we have this, and we have the last one. Lucas, thank you, thank you. But this thank you everyone should be the last line to print. But here for every magician print, this thank you everyone is accompanying, which is very wrong. So how do we do that? We have to unindent the last line. So to unindent it, just so now we have the right output. So another mistake that the beginners make is forgetting the colon at the end. So when you have a loop here, you should have a colon at the end. So when we run this, so you see the Python shows us where the error is. Syntax error. Expected this. So how do we make, here we have different kind of lists with strings in it. How can we make numerical lists? So list needs may arise because you may want to maybe work with set of numbers in a situation whereby you have maybe temperature, we have distance, we have population size, latitude and longitude, and many other different types of numerical sets. So in that case, you need numbers. So how do we create a list of numbers? So in that case, we have a function, a built-in function called a range. So range can give you numbers. How does it work? So range can work with list, with for loop, and you can use range individually. It just give you an iterable. It's also iterable. So let's see. The syntax is here we are looking through the items generated by the function range. So how does it work? Let's start with the range. Range, as we said, is a built-in function. It has some arguments, like 3 arguments. We have the first one. It tells the Python the number to start with. So when we put 1 here, so the range of numbers will start from 1. It will end before this number. This one tells the Python to stop 1 before this number. So in this case, 5 will not be included, as you can see here. So it stops at 5. So the number will start 1, stop at 5, but 5 is not included. That's why we have this 1, 2, 3, 4. It will start from 1, but end before 5. So if you want to have a range of numbers from 1 to 10, what should you write here? So here you should write 1. Here you should write 11. If you want 1 to 100, you should write 1 here. You should write 101 here. So this is how it works. So let's see it in action here. So here, let's see what will be printed here. So you see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. See? Because starts from 1 and ends at 5. So what if we want to print from 1, we want to print numbers from 1 to 7, but with increment of 2. Increment of 2. That is keeping, instead of going to the next, then we are going to go next and take the next number. So let's see. This is how this code works. So let's run and see the output. So you see now, the first one we have 1. Then instead of getting 2, instead of printing 2, then we have 3, because we say that please put an increment of 2. This is increment. We call it step. Yeah, we have start, we have stop, and we have step or increment. So the first one is optional, while the middle is a must. You have to apply this one, the second one. The last one is also optional. So if you didn't put this one, the first parameter, then it will start from 0. And if you didn't put, or if you don't put the last one, it will assume the last one to be 1. So it will just increment by 1. So if you want to increment by 3, you put 3, by 4, you put 4, by 2, you put 2. So this is how it works. So let's start with the first one. We say that it is an optional integer specifying at which position to start. So it will start from I. So if I is 1, it will start from 1. If I is 2, and this bracket means that the number, the parameter is optional. So you can apply it. It depends on the context. Then this one is a must, it's required. So you have to supply this one. So if you put only one number in the range, so it is the second one you impute, whether you know it or not. Then this one is also optional. That's the step. That's the increment. It's also optional. So this is how it works. For value in range, then we have the first number where to start, then where to end, -1, then this is the increment. So this is how it will work. It will print 1, then it will have 1, then it increments by 2, then this should be 1 plus this number will give you 3, then it will go to 3, then this 3 plus 2 will give you 5, then it will go to 5, then 5 plus 2 will go to 7. So because we said we asked Python to stop at 8, so this is 8. So the next number is out of our range, so it will not be included. So that's why we have this. So that's why we have this output. 1, 3, 5, 7. So 1, 3, 5, 7. Any questions? Yes, Abdullah. Yes, Abdullah. Okay, Abdullah maybe it's not with us. Mujahid. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, Abdullah or Mujahid, you have questions? Okay, let's continue. So you're using range to make list of numbers, because when you have range, let's declare, let's say we have a variable called RG. Let's have a range here. Let's put some numbers just like this, or let's put 5 here. Let's print RG and see what we have. Sorry. So let's print and see. Look at what we have. It's still range. And our intention is to have range of numbers from 1 to 4. So how do we create that list? So you can create a list using range. So to do that, what you just need to do, you need to wrap your range inside this function called list, so that this will force this range to create a list for you like this. So the output will be like this, because we have 6 here. So let's say it here. Now you see, we create a list from range. So if you need a list of 1 million items, 600, you can just put it like this. Then you have the list of items here. So let's have another example. Can we create even numbers between 1 and 10? Just like this. So we can do that because we know the syntax is we have the number to start with, the number to stop at, then we have the increment. So we know that when in mathematics, an even number is just n plus 2, yes, where n is maybe 0 or 2, then you should have or to n. That's even number precisely when we have to n. So just like this one, we have 2. As long as the first one is even number, and you keep incrementing by 2, you should have the next subsequent even number. So when you have 2, you add 2, you get 4, and 4 is even. You have 4, you add 2, you get 6. So this is how it works. So we have even numbers here. So it's easy to generate all the even numbers from 1 to 100. So you just write it like this. You just press, then you have the even numbers from 1 to 100. As easy as ABC. Now, how can we print the first 10 squares of numbers? Let's say you are asked to print the first 10 squares of numbers. Squares of numbers is 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 11 squared is 121, 15 squared 255, etc. So we are going to print the first 10 squares of numbers. How do we do that? It's very easy. Here, what we are going to do is we have an empty list. We know how to declare empty list. It's just you have the variable, you have assignment operator, then you have this square brackets. You define an empty list where you will keep putting the numbers inside. Then we have a for loop. To start a for loop, we have this for, then we have value. This is the temporary variable. So it will be taking a number because this one is iterable, as we say that is iterable. So we just take one item at a time and put it here. Take one, put it here, we take one, put it here. So we have numbers from 1 to 10 from here. This one will generate numbers from 1 to 10. Then here we take this number value. The first number will be stored in the value. Then we take value and square it. To square a number in Python, you can do it in multiple ways. One of the ways of doing that is to put this double asterisk and put 2. It means that you are raising value to the power of 2. If you put 3, you are raising value to the power of 3. If you put 4, you are raising value to the power of 4. If you put n, you are raising value to the power of n. So here we need square. So we raise it to the power of 2. Therefore, we have this. This one will get the number. As you know, the code runs top to bottom, right to left. So here we have the right part. Then this one will be evaluated. So the first number is 1, then should be 1 squared. Then the value here is 1. When evaluated, then 1 will be stored here inside this temporary variable squared. Then this square, here we use another function append that we learned how to add items to a list. So this is how it works. So we have our squared here, the empty list. Then we append the value we just evaluated. We put it inside squared. Then we go to the next value 2. We evaluate it here. We put it inside this. Then we append it to the list. We keep imputing until we reach 10. That is 100. So this is how the output will be. So now let's see the code. So this is our result here. Any question here? No question. So let's. Yes.
No?
Any question? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question here with regard to this. What happened if instead of that for values, if somebody can be able to use for numbers, what is it going to happen? Is it necessary that somebody should use for value or for numbers?
Okay, that's no problem.
Yeah. Are you talking about this?
Yeah,
Are you talking about this variable value?
Yeah, I just wanted some fellows to understand if is it necessary that somebody can change it to a different weight? Is it necessary?
Yes, you can change it. You can change it the way you want it. You can change it. You can change it to B if you like. You can put a B for value. You can write your name there. So it will work the same way. So you see, we have the output. This is just a variable. You can put any, naming convention of variables. So you can, but it is advisable to use meaningful name so that everyone will know that. Even you, maybe sometimes you can leave your code for 10 years. You can come back to it. Maybe you want to make some changes, or you create a Python package yourself so that you can help your maybe co-workers or maybe your school if you teach. So sometimes you can come back to it and make some modifications to the code.
Yeah, so let me just add something regarding this using any variable name. So the idea here is, for example, if you have, bring that magicians, bring that. I saw like something magicians comes up before.
Yes.
Can you bring it back?
Yes, let's bring it.
Oh yeah. So the idea is like, if you admin here is a list. We have Alice, David, Carolina, right? And we call this list magicians. So you can see inside the list we have many items, and we typically use if, for example, inside the list we have item, we typically use, for example, plural. For example, if these are cars inside, if this is the first one Honda, the second one is Mercedes, the third one is Peugeot, then we can call this list cars. So if we want to look inside this, then we say for car singular in cars, meaning for one car inside this list, you want to take only one car. So the idea is we say for car in cars, using that car is like, making the list more understandable. You are saying you want to take one car from many cars. So here, because the range is 1 to 11 are values, so that is why here we use the word value for value in range, because the range 1 to 11 are values, right? They are plural. So that's why we say for value in range in this. So it's not necessary, of course, to use like value. You can use for X in range, then you say square equals to value times 2. But in Python programming, we typically use this format where we said something like, the singular in the plural. Yeah, so I just want to make this clarification.
Yes, thank you, sir. So any other question? No questions. So let's move on. So if you like, as you can see here, we have this temporary variable here, square. And when we evaluate this expression, we store it in the variable. And this variable can be waste of the resources sometimes. You don't need it. You can just, instead of using this line, instead of typing this line, you can take the whole this expression and put it here instead of using the variable. This is what we've done here. Instead of creating the additional variable, so we can just put the expression that we want to evaluate. We just need squares of numbers, and we have the variable here, value. So we can just put the value here and raise it to the power of 2. Then the result, we just appended this empty list, or the list we have here, squared, right straight away. Instead of wasting our resources here, we have number of lines. Yeah, so here we have like 5 lines of code, but here we reduce it to 4 by eliminating that temporary variable. So we have the same result here. You see, the same result here. Here we have 1 to 100, and here we also have 1 to 100. Then one thing that we want to, yes?
So the empty square, you will leave it empty. The first squares that you wrote, squares, the first one is empty. You leave it. Yes, that one.
Yes, it's empty. When you want to declare an empty list, a list with nothing inside, this is how to do it.
Okay.
This is very important. We discussed about this. Maybe you want to create a program, maybe for taking attendance. So before everyone comes, you can have an empty list. Then when someone comes, you add it to the list. You just use a pen to keep adding the student if you are taking attendance of the student. So you start with empty, then you keep populating. You keep populating until you reach the end or until time is over. So we have another thing to cover today, that is making simple statistics with list of items. Maybe we have numbers, list of numbers from 1 to 0, maybe to 9, then to 0. Then we can have the minimum. From the name of the function min, this is a short for minimum. What's the minimum number in the list? What's the minimum number in the list? So what's the minimum number of the list in this list? 1 or 9?
1, sir.
0.
Minimum
Yes,
is
it's
0.
0. So the minimum is 0. So when we write min and we write the name of the list, we expect to have 0 here. What about the maximum?
9.
9.
So the
9.
maximum is 9. Yes. What about the sum?
Well, 3, 6, 10, 15, 21, 28, 36.
45.
45.
So 45, maybe you have forgotten the goals. So you just take the last one. Maybe you can take this one and add it to this. Then you have 10. Then 10 times 9, you have maybe 90. Then you divide 90 by 2. Then you have 45.
Wow.
Okay.
Falalu, I think we can stop here and continue tomorrow from this comprehension, because
Yes.
make it
Yes.
more, people may get
Yes.
confused, because this is very, very, very
Yes,
important.
sure. It's very lengthy lecture. Yes.
The word very,
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 very lengthy.
yeah, and
So
it's
maybe if they have questions, we can ask questions so that we can clarify what we have covered. Lukman is raising up his hand.
So I'm still having some doubts regarding the assignment, the 30 days of pattern assignment. So I want some clarification. Is
So
it
Dr.
that
Shamsuddin will answer your question.
Please watch the recordings of this session at the beginning. When we share, you get the answers. You haven't come early today, but we make explanation on that.
No, I came early. Started the class with me. I'm just a little bit confused.
Oh, okay.
Is it that I will first go to my GitHub account, then create a new repository, then fork the repository of 30 days of Python from your own GitHub account?
Okay, let me explain.
Okay, sir.
Create a repository from your GitHub, name it with the assignment folders. You don't need to fork 30 days Python, or if you fork it, it's okay. If you don't fork it, it's okay. But what we want is just like do assignments from the 30 days of Python session we provided, and now submit the assignment. That is just simple as that. Do a repository on your repository account, on your GitHub account. Push the assignments that are provided for each session. We will send you a form to submit this repository that we are asking you, this current repository. We know you submitted some repository, but now this one, where you'll be submitting this assignment, we'll ask you to, we'll send you a form where you submit that one. So that's what we'll be checking for every person. I don't know if this makes sense.
Yes, it has no sense, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So any question regarding the lesson, what we have covered?
Yes, sir, I have questions.
Yes.
Sir, my question is regarding this loop that you have done. You showed that of magicians, magicians. Then you create a list like David, Alice, and someone. Then for magicians, print something. So when I print in my system, it is giving me 3 lines. It is giving me Alice, David, Carolina, again, another one, and another one. Rather, in your own, it is giving only like one vertical line, horizontal line.
Maybe you have 2 different prints. Probably.
Okay.
Probably you have 2 different prints. As long as you have one, let's see, like this one. Then we have 4 magician in magicians